Hello everyone, this is John Galt speaking, here with a live stream video for you guys this week. So normally I do these on Fridays and I do these every week where I kind of just hang out, go to the forums, talk about nothing. Sometimes we talk about important things, sometimes we don't. I answer some questions that I get during the week via email or in the comment section of my UE4 products or from Udemy. And I take questions from people that show up for these live streams in chat. And so now I've kind of got on this kick where I'm doing these every 2 weeks, it seems. So guys, you guys know, I've mentioned this already, but I'll say it again here. I'm not as into this as I used to be. Meaning I'm not working for people. I'm not building things for other people. I'm not taking any contract work. I'm not doing any private tutorials or any of that stuff like I used to do. So occasionally I still like to pop on here and screw around, even though I'm not as hot and heavy into this as I used to be. And I'll go ahead and mention here too, that the way this YouTube page works is that it runs off of contributions and donations to my PayPal account. So in every video that exists on this YouTube page, there is a PayPal link where you can make a contribution to my PayPal, ask a question, just send me some money to say thank you for some knowledge that you acquired from watching one of the videos, or buy me a coffee, buy me a Coke. I would say buy me a beer, but I don't drink beer. I don't drink alcohol, so that's no good. Although you could tell me to buy a beer, and then if I buy a Coke instead, I guess that would be okay. And yeah, so I guess we will get started. So for those of you who are unaware, the free content for the month come out. It comes out the first Tuesday of every month. So we will go look at the free. What did I go to? We need to go to the free for the month. And I did get a couple of these. So there's some bulldozer stuff here. Don't give a shit about that. Don't give a shit about that. Don't give a shit about that. And then I got these Victorian train station. So yeah, I just thought I would mention that. And so we're going to go ahead and go to the forums. And basically, I just read through the topics on this. And if there's anything that really sticks out that I would like to talk about or leave some commentary on or my thoughts of, that's what I do. And I will tell you guys, which you guys are already aware of this, but I'll say it again. There's not a whole lot goes on these forums anymore. There never really was. I mean, when Unreal Engine 4 first came out, it was a pretty busy place on here, but there just ain't really a whole heap goes on here anymore. And that's why I kind of started doing these live streams every 2 weeks instead of every week, is because, you know, we end up doing the same topics over and over and over again. So I do multiplayer for the most part, listen server, specifically listen server stuff. And so that's where we're going to go. We're going to go in here and we will read through some of these topics here. Let's see here. Clients dying, respawns server player. So for those of you who are unaware, I think I did a video on my YouTube page specifically about this because I got asked to. So let me just go see if I can find this. Guys, it's really hard, just so you know, it's really hard for me to name my videos because there's so much crap in it. But, you know, occasionally I do run across a specific topic where I actually name it what's covered in it. And right here, you can see that I did a video titled UE4 or UE5 multiplayer respawn. So this specifically is about how I do multiplayer respawn in Unreal Engine 5. So I'll go ahead and put a link for that in there. And you guys can, if you're interested, you can check that out. Now, normally, some people ask me a lot, why do I do these streams like this? So I don't know if I've ever, I guess I have mentioned it, but I'll say it again here. I'm the king of redundancy. Once upon a time, I used to come in here to these forums and I would answer specific questions and do little demonstrations of me covering what the question was. And it would also be for people who were having issues, trying to help them fix things. And I would come in here and I would literally post a link to the timestamp in the video where I covered or answered that question so that the person that posted in the forum could go look at the video and say, oh, okay. Well, I quit doing that, right? Not because any other reason than I didn't see the point, right? Because I know I get a lot of shit for this, and I have, and I still will, I'm sure, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again here. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication, discipline, experimentation, and hours and hours and hours of that to get to where you're proficient at using this engine. Double that for doing things for multiplayer, because multiplayer mechanics have to be built completely differently than you would approach that same type of mechanic in a single player environment. And so I always intended to get something back for the effort that I put in. So if I was to come in here as an example, if I was to come in here and I was to link up, hey, look, I made a video of exactly how I do respawn. Go watch this video. And by the way, if this answers your question and it helps you, send me $2 to my PayPal, right? Never happened. Every now and then someone would make a contribution, but very, very rarely. So I just quit doing it, right? And so then after I quit doing that, I still did these live streams. And then people that would be in my community would take it upon themselves to go back to the post that I covered and link the video for the person that made the post. And I was fine with that, right? I don't know. I don't care for that. And then those people quit doing that, right? So now I just come in here, and for those people who tune in live to these streams, or they happen to have watched this video after the fact, you know, maybe they'll gather some information from it. I still appreciate the contributions and donations, which doesn't happen anymore, by the way. And that's because we're all broke, right? I'm broke, you're broke, he's broke, they're broke, she's broke. We're all broke. And so I understand that, but if any of you guys could or would, it would be very appreciated. Okay. How do I reliably know that an actor has spawned on all clients? You test it. You play in 2 little bitty windows, or 4 little bitty windows, or 10 little bitty windows, right? Or you get a bunch of your buddies, you host a game, and you get your buddies to come join you and say, hey, did that spawn for you? Do you have that? It's a lot of goddamn work, right? So, yeah. Does calling set owner on the client have any effect? I think we talked about that. No. Generally, no. The clients can't do anything, right? And there's also some really weird phenomenon that go along with the owners. A couple things in multiplayer that drove me batshit crazy for a really long time was Well, do you run things on the server? Do you run things on the owning client? Do you multicast it? Or do you use a rep notify? Also, how to properly set the owner and the instigator of an object. And also how to check who has the authority over the object. Because all those things combined together is what makes multiplayer magic happen. And if you get any one of them wrong, it don't fucking work. But if you know that all those things are extremely important, when something doesn't work, you at least have a point to start your troubleshooting. You say, okay, well, is this a owner issue? And you check that. If that checks out, then you say, well, okay, so is this an authority issue? And then you check that. And then you say, is this an instigator issue? And then you check that. And then if all that checks out, then you say, okay, well, let me try to run this on the server and see if it works. If it doesn't, then you say, okay, well, let me now try to run this on the owning client. And if that doesn't work, then you say, well, let me try to multicast this. And if that don't work, then you try to say, okay, well, let's see if we can get a rep notify to do this. And then if that don't work, you have to start even breaking it apart and saying, okay, well, maybe this part needs to be ran on the server and this part needs to be multicast. Or maybe this part needs to be ran on the server and this part also needs to be ran on the owning client, right? So multiplayer is complicated. And there is no one size fits all way of doing this. Some things you could say that, some things you could say, yeah, there's one way that you do that, and generally that works for some things. But the most of it requires a lot of trial and error and testing. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why people don't do multiplayer, right? There's a reason. There's a reason why out of all the forum sections, this section here generally gets a lot more questions unresolved than any other. It's because it's a nightmare. Okay. Okay. Multiplayer servers. Let's see here. Warning, appear while trying to build EOS to Android, RPC versus property replication. Let's see. Wow, that really scrolled like crap. Client side versus server side shooting authority. And once again, I think I have a video somewhere where I actually went through the trouble of answering a question that someone had about one of my templates that they'd bought. And let's see if I can find it, where we actually set up multiplayer shooting mechanics, right? And there is a specific way that I do that, and it works flawlessly if you do it that way, right? So let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. That's also a pretty good one. A flying character. That was a pretty good video that I made. It's only 5 hours long. I mean, come on. You know, guys, honestly, I could make these videos a lot shorter if I just cut the bullshit out. But there is a very specific reason why my videos are longer than most. And that is because you don't learn anything about game design and game deving, bruh, by just watching somebody click a bunch of fucking buttons, right? You don't get it correct the first time and it just work. You don't learn anything by doing that. What you learn by watching my videos is what to do in the scenario that you try to follow one of these tutorials and all of a sudden the shit just don't work. You figure out the why to go with the how, right? If you only know the how, you're not any good at this. If you only know the why, you're not any good at this. If you know the why and the how, that's what makes you good at this. Because then you don't need tutorials anymore at that point. Regardless of what the mechanic is that you're trying to do, you will say, I've got an idea about how I could do that. And you don't have to spend a couple hours Googling up, going to forums, hunting for somebody who's made a specific tutorial about specifically what you're trying to do. You already have the knowledge necessary in order to, okay, well, that would kind of work like this mechanic that I know how to do. So then you can take a previous mechanic that you built and you can adapt it and change a couple things, and voila, you have a brand new mechanic, which is exactly why the Udemy course that I sell is solid gold if you watch and follow that course. Because we go from a completely blank project all the way to a project that is playable via a listen server. You can package the build, you can host it, you can have other players come join you, and you guys can run around in that environment and test out all the mechanics that are contained in that series. 40-something hours of video, but you learn a shitload of things. You learn a little bit about animation, you learn a little bit about world building, you learn a little bit about weapon mechanics, you learn a little bit about menu systems. It's got a little bit of everything in it. Very good tutorial series, in my opinion, right? But I'm biased, okay? I'm biased. Let's see here. What the hell was I doing? We were supposed to be looking for a video showing how to do shooting mechanics, right? Right here it is. Right here. And I will link this for you guys. So this is a video that I made where we took one of my templates that I sell for $6, and we added weapon shooting mechanics to it, right? And we go through the entire process of adding the weapon to the character, getting the weapon shooting. I think we even put in health and damage and death and respawn even. So that's a really good video to watch. Okay. All right. Awesome. And I do have chat open, by the way. So hello, Mr. Oni. I'm sure there ain't going to be anybody show up but Oni. He's the most dedicated viewer I believe I've ever had. Seems like every video that I ever make, he's here. Or she, right? It could be a she. Not sure. So that's cool. All right. Let's see. What the hell were we doing? Oh, yeah, we're supposed to be going down through here. Replicating pawn possession. Anim notify crashes in multiplayer. I'm drinking a drink here. Let me get me a drink. So somebody asked me one time whenever I was doing a video, I can't remember what we were setting up. It may have been reload or something, melee, something. I don't remember. But they gave me every sort of grief that you could possibly imagine because the way that I did it did not require the use of an anim notify. And they were like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're stupid. You're showing people how to do stuff wrong. You should be using anim notifies for that, etc., etc., etc. And so the reason that I do not and refuse to and never will use anim notifies to do anything, any mechanic is never going to be tied to an anim notify, specifically in multiplayer. And the reason is this. It's a simple reason, right? If your mechanic that you're trying to do is based upon a frame in a specific animation a specific frame where whenever that animation plays, it gets to where you put in the notify. Then that notify triggers some logic off in your animation blueprint, right? And then generally you have to go from your animation blueprint to some other blueprint, right? If that animation fails for any reason, whether it dropped a frame that anim notify was on, whether it took too long in multiplayer latency to travel from the anim notify in the animation to the animation blueprint, and from the animation blueprint to another blueprint like the character blueprint, if for any reason that fails, you just broke your game. Okay? And so I, under no circumstances, ever advocate using anim notifies to trigger any mechanic, whether it be to play a footstep sound, whether it be to, fire a trace out from a weapon shooting, whether it be to trigger a particle effect to play. I never and never will tie that to an anim notify, ever. It's too easy to break, right? And there's plenty of ways to do it without doing that. So just don't use them. Let's see here. Possible to simulate physics only on active player. Game version. How to replicate large data. Multi-user editing. Not seeing persistent changes. Setting up multiplayer for Lyra game example. No. No. Can't get player replication to work, and I am new to this. What about the player? What about the player are you trying to replicate? What? Let's go in here and see, actually. So I made a custom player pawn blueprint, and I can't get the replication to work for it. It works with other things within the scene. I'm an artist and pretty new to blueprint. I tick the replication boxes on the blueprint and nothing happens. Please, any suggestion would be appreciated. I'm probably missing something obvious because with the default character, it works fine. Other than client to server replication. I have looked up videos, but they all start with the default player, so no help. Well, I mean, as far as I can tell here, he's still not saying exactly what he is trying to replicate in the first place, right? What did he say? A custom player pawn. Well, that is a loaded question, right? What kind of pawn? Is it a walking pawn? Is it a flying pawn? Is it a floating pawn? Is it a physics driven pawn? Right? And that shit gets really complicated. Hello, Mr. Sean Becker. I am doing fine. I hope you are also doing well. Let's see here. Is there a interface? No, player state not valid after server travel. Unresolved. Let's actually see what this one is. Hello, I have a problem in multiplayer game and player state. Actually, I do server travel with seamless travel from a lobby level to a game level. Often everything works fine, but sometimes on clients, they somehow do not have a valid player state. Yes, Sean, this is exactly what this is for. Q&A, forum surfing, dicking around, bullshitting, shooting the breeze. So yeah, feel free. Let's see. Clients somehow don't have a valid player state. I think same for game state, but let's focus on the player state. I do nothing curious in BP, just check the player state in player controller, which is a default replicated variable, and normally hold the player state of the player. And even by simply checking the validity, before casting to it, I get an error saying it's not valid. I read already that this can happen in first frames after level change, but as you see in my login screenshot, this happens when the error occurs. Still, after 15 seconds, doing a valid player state check every second. Let's see. Player controller trying to go to the player state. Well, it doesn't look like he's showing where that is being set, right? So he's got a delay here. It looks like he's doing a for each loop or something like that too. Look here. Figured it out by myself. Sadly, so few questions get answered nowadays. I will leave some advices. Blah, blah, blah. Set variable bursts. Let's see. I've never actually had to do that. I don't know what he's having a problem with, but more than likely what I would say it is a order of operations issue, right? So I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. I may be putting my foot in my mouth here by saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are a few blueprints in the Unreal Engine that do not get destroyed on server travel, right? Like going from one map to the other. I'm not sure if the player state happens to be one of those. I'm positive that the player controller does not get destroyed. I don't think. But either way, that's probably what the issue is. Like if it's saying that it's not valid, well, then that means either you're trying to run logic on the blueprint before the blueprint is actually spawned into the world, okay? Or it's not being repopulated after you switch from one level to the next level, right? So as an example, what I'm trying to say is, okay, so if when you spawn into the world, you get a player controller, and throughout the entire duration of the time you're connected to that game, that player controller is never destroyed. Well, if you're trying to populate your player state variable on event begin play, as an example, when event begin play happens on the player controller, it only happens the very first time you join the game. So when you go from map 1 to map 2, it's not re-triggering the player controller's event begin play, right? Does that make sense to you guys? I think that is probably part of what his trouble is, honestly. I'd figure it out, right? But it would take some testing to be sure. Okay, let's see here. Sean asks, I have an array that is made from data provided in a data table. Do you know if it's possible to print out all data in the array in one go? I want to get the array data and save it to a database. Sort of how the Unreal Save Game node creates a file from the array. I want to save the same data to the data table. Well, Sean, unfortunately, I have never, ever, ever messed with the data tables. Ever. And so I wouldn't know anything about it. To me, it would seem like, and this is just me pissing in the wind, knowing that I've never messed with those things. So a data table is like a spreadsheet, right? In the engine. So in that data table, it should hold some parameters, whatever it is that you put in there. So when you get ready to exit or whatever, you should loop through that and get it to store it in a new data table, the updated information in a new one. And then you take that new one, and that would be where you would store that somewhere on your database or whatever it is. And then when the player relogs back in again, they would have to go to that database, fetch that specific file that is for them, repopulate the current data table with that information, and then that's how that would work, right? So the way you described it, it would work just like a save player state. But it would be specifically for that data table. Let's see. The array could be made up of anything, not necessarily a data table. Yeah, that would be great, but data table can't be updated at runtime, sadly. I don't know. I haven't ever messed with them. My suggestion might be is that you, so what is a data table? Is it literally like text, or what is it? Right? Because if it's variable driven, okay. So in other words, if you're trying to store something in a float, something in an integer, something in a string, something in a name format, well, what you could do is instead transfer it from the data table into variables and store those variables inside a struct. Okay. And, you know, maybe that would work, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't never messed with them. But there's got to be a way to do it, obviously, but that's just something that I've never messed with. I've messed very minimally with even structs and stuff, but this might give you an idea, right? So let's go fart around, okay? And maybe this will give you an idea. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. I'm just spitballing here. It's time to go into the engine anyway. I've farted around on that forum long enough. I do have a couple questions that I might try to cover that came in from email and stuff. So we'll see. Generally, I wouldn't be in Unreal Engine 5, but since I titled these streams Unreal Engine 5, now I'm in here. So something that you might explore is this, right? So let's see, where the hell would this be? This would be a struct, right? So I don't know if you've ever messed with structs, but this is a file you could call my struct, okay? And inside this struct, you can add different variable types, okay? So as you see here, I just hit this button, and you can add as many of them as you want, and they could be any kind of variable. So for example, if you're storing data in a string format, you could add a string here. You could add a text, or you could add a byte, right? And then what you would do, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily do it this way, right? It would be your variables. So let's say, for example, in the character blueprint, you decided to create a variable called name, and this happened to be a struct, or I mean a string. And then let's say you created one called a health, value, and it would be an integer or a float. Well, then you store those values in these variables, and then inside the struct, you would add those variables, right? And you would store them in here. So you would add a string, a float, or an integer. And then what you could do, let me just save that. It's been a long time since I dicked with these structs. What you could do then is you could get that, you would add that struct, right? My struct, and you would set this to the type struct, my struct. See it listed here? And then you can take that and you could get it, and then you could break my struct, and you can see that those variables are here, in here. And so let's see, is there, let's see, set members in my struct. Okay. And so then you split this struct pin, and then you could take said name and get it. No. Wait a minute. I think it would be set, maybe, and you could do shit like this, right? So you could take whatever value that was, reset it to here, and then you could take the health and set that one to this, like that, right? So there's a way to set them and get them. So you could store different variable types in a struct, and then from any blueprint, by the way, you can get that struct, and you can get what's currently in it, and you can also change it, right? And so then that might be something that you could try. Okay, store it in a struct, because a struct will allow you to have any kind of variables, any kind. And I think that could even go for like actors. Okay, so as an example, if we was to create a new blueprint based on an actor, and we just call this BP master weapon, okay, I think you can even store that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's actually and you know, pretend like you made a weapon blueprint here. So then in your my struct, you could add a new variable type, and you could add a master weapon object reference, or you could add a class. Okay, and then you save it. And now, if you wanted to store what weapon the character had, you know, you would have to go through the trouble of putting it on here, but now you can see that you could actually set it, right? So you could get what you saved in this struct, and then when you do your whole, this is getting deep, guys, but whatever. Spawn, actor, you know, say for example, you did this to set your character's weapon. Well, whenever you reload the character, right? So this would go on something like event begin play. You could pull out, you know, well, what weapon does he have? And then you could respawn it and reattach it back to the character again. So it can literally be any kind of variable, and you can put as many in that struct as you want. It could be a float, it could be an integer, it could be a name, it could be a text, it could be a string, and it could be any actor that you create, a weapon, an ability, you know, whatever. And so then here's where it really gets crazy, right? So if you're doing a save load game, right? You're creating a save load game. Well, when the character connects, first you check to see if that save state exists, right? Then you go fetch it if it does exist, and then you grab off what he had when he left the game. Like, what character was he using? What skeletal mesh was he using? What was his primary weapon? What was his secondary weapon, right? Whatever it is that you want to reload, Well, when the character joins, go fetch the save game, right? Reload all that data back to the character and then spawn the character, right? Whatever that involves. It really just depends on how much shit you add to the character or whatever. But structs are a good way to do that. Like if I was, unless it's really just like, I don't even know what a data table even looks like, right? I have no idea. But this might be something, instead of trying to do it with data tables, maybe if it's specifically text stuff, maybe just create a struct that stores all your text information. Create a separate struct that stores all your integer information. Or you could put them all into one, right? It really just depends on how much data it is that you're literally trying to store, okay? And so that's the TLDR of maybe you should try to use that way instead of the other way, okay? All right. So let me bring Chad over here. So I hope that helps, Sean. Maybe that'll help you out. Give you an idea anyway. Something else to explore. You know, in most of the things that I do, it doesn't involve storing any kind of data, whether it be with a data table or whether it be with a struct. Like I literally just don't do that. But I can see why you would, right? Definitely. Hello, Mr. Ripper Junkie. I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing well. And I have no idea how to say that name, but I do know who that is. That is One Gun. I do know who that is. So, hello, Mr. One Gun. Okay. All right, now some of the questions that I got emailed to me, well, I'm going to go ahead and cover those while I'm in the covering mood here. Did they put the damn delete button back, or is that still gone? Of course it's still gone. Somebody email Epic, because I'm too lazy to do it. Somebody email Epic and ask them why in the actual fuck did they remove the ability to delete a goddamn project from the launcher? Why did they do that? Right? Why? What was the purpose of that? Used to, you could select a project that you created, right click, and you had the ability to delete it. And you can't even select it and hit the damn delete key. Now, what fucking moron genius at goddamn Epic thought that that was a fucking good idea? Let me show you guys how you have to delete that shit now. Now you got to go into your My Documents, right? You got to go into your Unreal projects. Oh, look, there it is. And then you fucking delete it. Why, Epic? Why? I don't know. You know, maybe there's a really important specific reason, right? And now what's really cool is that after you delete it, hey, look, it's gone. And used to, you could just select it here and delete it. Fucking geniuses. I know what it is. Somebody was working on Fortnite and they accidentally deleted the project and they had to fucking rebuild the whole game. Okay, guys, we cannot ever have that happen again. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it impossible for you to fucking delete your project unless you specifically go all the way around Robin Hood's barn and in the back fucking door to delete it. Morons. Okay. So one of the questions I got was about my Simple Capture the Flag project. Okay. Actually, there's two questions that came in about this. So you guys know that I did updates to all my projects here a couple of weeks ago, month ago, whatever it was. And some of these did get a fairly decent upgrade whenever you use the Unreal Engine 5 version of them. The old versions didn't get anything changed, but the new ones did. So we will go in here and I will try to answer the two questions that I got that pertain to this one. And then we'll have to talk about a different one. A different one of my projects, there was another question. So we'll try to answer that as well. Okay, so the first question that was asked about this project was how. Let me open up the test map here. So any of you guys that have used this product, you know how this works, right? So it's simple capture the flag. It's literally just capture the flag. So by default, this thing is set up to whichever team gets 5 flag captures first wins. Okay. If, however, no team gets 5 flag captures before the timer expires, whichever team at the end of the map has the most flag captures wins. So the question was, how can I make it to where you can catch flags infinitely until the end of the match? And then whichever team has the most captures at the end of the map wins. So in other words, he don't want it to be just 5 flag captures. So by default, I've got it set to 5. So we're going to, I guess I'll show you guys where you do that. So in the blueprints folder, there is a folder in here called gameplay. Okay. Now, I don't remember if it's this one or this one, but one of these flags is where the scoring takes place at. It's probably this base here. So if you open it up and you look in the event graph, right here in this specific part, on overlap, pick up flag or cap flag and add score based on blah, blah, blah. Okay. So in this flag spawner blueprint is where that actually takes place at. You can see right here that it calls in the game state the add score mechanic based on the team right here. So if you double click this, this will take you into the game state blueprint, and right here is exactly where the scoring takes place at. Okay. And you can see that, you know, depending on which team you're on, it'll add 1. Okay. And if this is equal to the score to win. So right here, you can see this is where I have that set to 5 by default. So if you wanted it to be 10 instead, right, you would change this value to 10. If you wanted it to be 2, you change it to 2. If you want it to be infinite, however, what you would probably do is you would unhook this part right here, because see right here, this is where it's keeping track of your flag caps. So every time a team scores, it checks to see, well, is that equal to 5 or 10 or whatever you put in here? And only when that's true on either team, it comes up here, and this is where it says multicast match ended. So this is where it pops the screen up and tells you which team won. And then, of course, if you go on down through here, this is where it also cycles the map. So after the match win screen comes up, it waits for a duration, and then it switches everybody to a new map and starts the map all over, or starts the match all over again. So if you want it to be infinite flag caps, you simply unhook. Well, you unhook this right here, both of these. And now, since these are unhooked, it's still going to add the score and do a comparison, but it ain't going to do anything. So then, whenever that's the case, if this is not doing anything anymore, it's just adding the scores, then it relies on this, right? And right here, this is where the match timer is running. And you can see right here when the hours, minutes, and seconds, when all those equal 0, this is true. It stops the timer. And then right here, it says check for match winner when timer expires. So now, since we're not doing this, It's still adding the score and all that stuff, but now it's never going to trigger this to end the match. So now it's going to wait until the timer reaches 0, and then when that happens, then it's going to do a comparison of the teams, right? So if the red team is greater than the blue team, it tells you red team won, and then it goes on to finish the match, tell you red team won, cycle you to the new map. Okay? Let's see here. If the blue team is greater than the red team, this is true, which fires blue team won, and then it ends the match. If they're the same, if the red team and the blue team are equal to each other, well, then obviously you ended in a tie. Okay? And then it ends the match. So that's the answer to that question. So it's a simple modification to make it where instead of having a designated amount of flag caps, it'll just keep accruing captures until the match is over. And then at the end of the match, it'll compare the teams to see which one has the most, and they'll be declared the victor. Simple modification. Okay? Now, the other question that I got asked about these templates, and it's not just this template, this goes for all my templates that have the match timer. Let me just show you guys, if I can here, the issue. So for this, we're actually going to have to open the main menu here. Okay. And we're going to go into multiplayer, host a game, and we're going to leave the timer and all that stuff default, and we're just going to hit go, and we're going to play as a dude on the red team. So some of you guys know that the server, aka the host, when he hits his tab button, he gets a set of settings here that the clients don't get. Like the clients that are connected can't switch the map, and they also can't change the timer. And so if you'll notice here, when I change this to 30 minutes and hit set new time, you can see that the time remaining starts over at 30. And then of course we could set it back to 5 minutes if we want to. The error, and this is actually an error on my part, okay? If you set this to be 1 hour and set new time, look what happens. Well, actually it worked. I think it's during map travel that this breaks, okay? And map travel in these projects, and all projects really, will only work during a packaged game, okay? So I can't demonstrate to you what happens here. But what happens is, when you switch from one map to another map, there's an issue where if it's set to 1 hour, it starts the timer at 1 second instead of 1 hour. So let me show you guys where that is. Okay, so back into the blueprints, into the system, into that game state that we was just in. Right up here, you're going to see that there is a server set new match time called from server admin widget. Do you see this? There is an issue, and this is my issue, by the way, but I'm going to show you guys that have been asking how to fix it. So the problem is, I believe it's this right here. Okay. Yes, it is. So what has to happen here is you have to put a branch here, and you have to check to see if this is equal. So tap your equal sign twice. If this is equal to 1, then we need to set the hours to 1. Okay, follow me here. This is a simple fix, by the way. Okay, and if it is not equal to 1, then this just gets set to whatever these minutes are. Okay, so what has to happen here is this has to take place. And regardless of either one of these, you still have to do this. Okay, so that's the fix right there for that issue. Now, once again, this is my issue. I missed this when I did the updates to this template. Okay, I missed this somehow. And so if I was to fix this, I would have to fix this in every single one of my projects. And this is such a simple fix for this. I didn't want to have to update all those damn versions just for this. Okay. Now, as time goes by, people buying that template, my other templates, if they find anything else jacked up, when I get a list of a couple things to fix, well, then I'll fix it. Okay. But just to do this one simple little patch here, I'm not updating. Let's see, that would be 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know. That'd be about 12 damn projects I would have to fix this in. And I'm not going to do it. Okay. So this is the fix for all you guys that have emailed me this. This is the fix right here. Simple as that. Okay. All right. And so that's that. All right, let me bring Chad over here for a second. Let's see. Ripper Junkie. John, even though I've made some multiplayer stuff, I don't understand 10% of what you understand about it. I forgot everything I ever knew. I haven't done nothing or built nothing in so long. I don't know anything anymore. For example, in the template that we have at our project, the health variable is not replicated to the client. Only the server sees it. Hello, David Smiley. What's happening, dude? Sean Becker, you need a blueprint structure to create a data table. Each row in the data table is an instance of that structure with its own row name. See, I don't know shit about it. I gave him the redneck, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about version, but structures definitely are useful. Even though I don't think I've ever technically used one, they're useful. Just the same as what we're going to talk about here in the next question that I'm going to answer. Let's see, Ripper Junkie. I'm not sure if that'd be for security's sake. By the way, my Booze bought the template. I didn't buy it. The template is called FPS Multiplayer Template V1.5. So I don't know about other people's stuff and how they build things, but there are 2 ways that you do health. Oh, it's your boss? Well, tell him he's fired, right? He should have bought my template, not that one. But anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. He probably bought one that had a bunch of bells and whistles, didn't he? That's what they do. They put all that fluff in there. Oh my God, look at this. This is a complete game. All we got to do is go in here and put our characters in here and we launch this bitch on Steam. Yeah, but you got to kind of know how the motherfucker works, right? And that is where shit goes to shit, obviously. Okay, so let me let me delete this simple capture the flag thing here. The AI is broken as hell. Well, it can happen. I know somebody who's got a 3rd-person template that's got some pretty slick AI in it. It may be just a little bit too hard, though. You may have to tone them back a hair, right? Because they're too damn hard. They're too damn smart and they're too damn lethal. I can't even beat my own game, right? They're that damn hard. And that's okay. Okay? All right, so the next question that I was asked by someone has to do with a shield mechanic. Okay? A shield mechanic. Specifically, a pickup that gives you a shield. Okay? And so, what we're going to do for this is we're going to go dig into one of my other fantastic products, which happens to be called Multiplayer TPS Basic. Right? And we'll go ahead and do this for Engine 5, since I titled this stupid live stream Unreal Engine 5 bullshitting. And we'll talk about this. I'm not going to build a shield mechanic, right? Especially for free on a live stream. But we can talk about it, right? Because some of you guys that have been around here for a while, you guys remember when I used to do the theory crafting series, where we would just kind of talk out a mechanic, not really build it necessarily, but we would talk about, well, if you wanted to build that mechanic, here's how I would kind of do it, right? So we might get back into doing some of those at some point. Theory crafting videos. Honestly, you learn more from theory crafting than you do anything, I think. But whatever, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to open a map so we don't have to go through my craptastic menu system here. Okay, go. How about now? Oh, build your navigation and prepare your shaders, asshat latency piece of crap. Thanks, Epic, for making everything suck more. Oh my God, Unreal Engine 5 is so awesome. How did we ever live without it? I can tell you how. Go compare the latency in Unreal Engine 4.15 to the same project in Unreal Engine 5. Compare how long it takes to open the maps. Compare how long it takes objects to spawn into the world. Compare how long it takes from when you mash the trigger on your gun till the gun starts shooting. Compare all that. And then we can talk about how awesome the newer engine versions are. Okay? All right. Okay, so I guess before we go into this, I want to kind of touch a little bit on what Ripper Junkie was talking about, the health of the character. Where did that go? Where the hell did that go? For example, in the template that we have at our project, the health variable is not replicated to the client. Only the server sees it. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about specifically the health of a character in this project, and basically in all my projects. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the master character blueprint here. And inside this magical blueprint here, don't look too closely. You can't steal my logic. Don't look at it. You got to buy it. You can't have it. Don't look at this. So anyway, we have a variable in here called current health, and I think there's one in here called max health too somewhere. Yeah. So in my character, I have two variables for health. Two. One is current health and one is max health. Okay. Now in here, some damn where, actually it's on event begin play. That's where this happens at. On event begin play, what I generally do is I have the game set the health of the character. So that's the reason why there is a max health. You put a value in 100, and then when the character spawns into the world, it looks at that amount and then sets the current health to that amount. Okay. So you'll notice here that the max health is not replicated at all. but yet the current health is set to be replicated, but specifically it's set to be rep notified. Okay. Now what that does is it creates a function. When you create a rep notified variable, it creates a function for the name of whatever that variable is. So as an example, I have one here called on rep current health. And so what happens is if the server changes the value of current health, it fires this function automatically, as if almost by magic. Every time the server changes the amount in current health, it fires this function. And what this function does is it changes the value in that widget above the player's head, the health bar. Okay? So, when the server changes the value of the health, current health, it fires this function, which takes the amount in the current health and divides it by the max health, which gives you a percentage, and that's what it sets the health bar to. In other words, the bar above the player's head. Okay? So, how does the health get changed? Well, in order for this rep notify to work, it has to be changed by the server. Well, where does the health change? It changes when the player takes damage, right? So the event any damage in this engine, you see this little computer? It's automatically ran by the server, okay? Clients can't run this. Only the server can run event any damage. So when damage comes in here, the server is the one changing the amount in the current health, right? So it takes the amount of damage that come in and it subtracts the amount of damage from the current health, which then sets it here. So the server is changing the health value, which then means on rep current health triggers, it fires, which updates the widget above the player's head. Right? So the server's the one that's dealing the damage and adjusting the health value. Well, when that happens, the on rep current health function fires, which updates the widget amount in the bar. So the server's the one doing it, but by doing the on rep notify, it's what's updating the amount in the bar, which displays for the player and everybody looking at him. So that's one way that you can do health. Okay. That's the way that I do it for this widget, which is completely different than the way that I do it for the health in the lower left, right? So remember, that's the widget above the player's head. Okay. So when I go over here and piss off this AI, I'm going to take some damage. Go. So only players looking at me will see that bar above my head. Okay. This health bar that's in the lower left-hand corner is a completely different way of doing health on a character. Okay. So that one is in the widgets. So in these widgets in here somewhere, there should be widget blueprint player health. So if I open this up, this is that health bar in the lower left-hand corner. This one gets updated differently than the one above the player's head. Okay. So this one, when you create a progress bar, you can select your progress bar and you can create a binding. When you create a binding for the percent here in the graph, it creates basically a little function. So what this function does is it gets the owning player pawn, which is the character blueprint, right? And then you cast to that character blueprint, and we are getting the current health and the max health, and we're doing the division, and we're setting the amount in the health bar. So this one is not done using a rep notify. The one above the player's head is using a rep notify to update the value in the health bar. This one, it's just going and having a look at the character and doing the percentage of that health. Either way, and the reason for that is this reason, okay? Either way, it's using the same health values on the character blueprint. Both of them use the exact same health values. The only difference is one is updated one way and this one is updated a different way. And the reason for that, just so you're aware, is if we go back into the character blueprint and we go, actually, no, we need to hit the play button, right? Hold on here. So that health value that's in the lower left-hand corner, the only person that needs to know what that value is the player. Nobody else in the game sees that health value except this guy, okay? However, the one that's on top of his head, he can't see that one, okay? See, I don't see that one above my head, see? However, every player that's connected to this is going to be looking at me and they're going to see my health value and my name above my head. That one, I don't need to know about, but everybody else does. You follow me? The one in the lower left-hand corner, I'm the only one that needs to know what that value is. The one above my head, I don't need to know what that one is, but everybody else in the game does, so that they can look at me and say, oh shit, that guy's almost dead, right? So that's the reason why I do the one in the lower left-hand corner gets done one way, the one above the player's head gets done a different way. Yes, that's exactly the reason. It's for optimization. Definitely. Okay, now I've totally forgot what the next question was that I was going to. Oh, yeah. It's shield and health pickups, or shield pickups. So in this project and in my multiplayer FPS basic project too, we have these pickups. And these are actors that I created for these projects. Okay? Now, the way that I built these pickups is unique and different to the way most people build pickups. Okay? So pay attention here. You might learn something. Don't be like everybody else. Be different. Be unique. Don't regurgitate the same bullshit everybody else does. Most people would be looking at this and say, oh, so you created a ammo pickup, you created a health pickup, and then you created a bullet pickup. 3 different blueprints. That is not how this is made. This is a single pickup that can be 3 different kinds of pickup. Okay? So what do I mean by that? And this is because I'm going to answer the question that I got asked about how you would make a shield pickup. Kinda answer it. So if we go back into the multiplayer blueprints in here, you're going to see that this project comes with quite a few different pickups. And you're going to see that one is called BP Pickup Master of the Universe. So when you drag that into the level here, it's completely empty. See this? It's empty. However, if you select that you just brought into this level here, well, if I could select it, I would. And you look into this details panel, you're going to see some really cool shit here. One is what's called the PS pickup, which is the particle system. Okay. Now in this project, I've got 3 particles in here. And when you select that here, the PS pickup, you can see that you get to pick which particle system you put in it. You could put any particle in it, right? Like you could put any. In this case, there are 3 in here. You've got a bullet pickup, an explosive pickup, and a health pickup particle system. See this? PS health. And that's what gives you that little health icon. And if you want it to be a different one, explosive pickup, see? Oh no, that's not the right one. There's so many damn particle effects and shit that I had to put in here, right? So you can make it be a bullet pickup, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that you can change the particle. Also, when you select it, not only can you change the particle, if you look right here in the default, you can say, oh, is it a health pickup? Is it a bullet pickup? Or is it an explosive? In this case, that's a bullet, right? So you would set this to be bullet. And you can tell it how much does this pickup give you? How many bullets does it give you? 50? How quick does it respawn after a player picks it up? Every 10 seconds? What sound does it play when you pick it up? Right? And this would be bullet. And what particle does it play? This is the particle for the character, right? So when I pick these up, it plays a little particle effect, okay? And now by doing that, I just created a bullet pickup. So if I shoot up some bullets, see, I don't need any, right? So if I try to pick it up, it ain't going to give me any. If I shoot up some and reload, now it'll give me some. And that's the little particle it plays when you pick them up. Now, check this out. That exact same pickup, you can duplicate this pickup and you can change it to be a completely different one, right? So that's a bullet pickup. And this one we could change to be health. Okay. So we put that in there. And then we go back into those details and we change this, right? So now this is not a bullet pickup. This is a health pickup. And we could say that it gives you 100 health. And it respawns every 50 seconds. And instead of it playing the bullet pickup cue sound, it plays the health, right? And instead of the bullet pickup particle to display, it displays the health player, right? And now we just created a completely different pickup, all from the same master blueprint. This is the point that I'm trying to make, right? So all 3 of these pickups are made from the exact same master pickup blueprint, just by changing some parameters. And this is done via an enumeration, right? So if you'll see right here, I have this enumerator called E pickup types. And if I open this, you're going to see that I have health, bullet, and explosive. Now, what's cool about enumerators is this. So once you create an enumerator, you can have as many listings in this thing as you want. And what that gives you the ability to do in the pickup, if you look in the event graph, you're going to see that on actor begin overlap, it will fire this pin if it's set to be health. It will fire this pin if it's set to be bullet. And it will fire this pin if it's set to be an explosive. All because of that enumeration. So in other words, it's calling 3 different things. And if you look down here, this is what it does if it's a health pickup. See this? This is what it does if it's an explosive pickup. And this is what it does if it's a bullet pickup. See that? So if I wanted to create a shield pickup, I wouldn't create a new pickup. I would modify this pickup. Oh, and by the way, I guess I need to talk about this part too. So when you create your enumerator, and by the way, all you do is right click, go under blueprints, and right here is how you create an enumerator, right? And then you would call it something like pickup, right? Whatever. And then you open that and you literally just add how many listings you want in it, and you name them, right? So one would be called bullet, one would be called health, one would be called explosive, right? You see how that works? So that's how you create an enumerator. And then to implement the enumerator, okay, in your blueprint, you create a variable here called pickup. I'm just going to call it pickup type, and you change it from a Boolean to the type _pickup, whatever you named your enumerator, right? See that? And that is what gives you this variable right here. Get it? See? Now, in order to make it where you can adjust it in the level, you have to set this to be instance editable, right? You check that box true, okay? And that's what gives you the ability when you select it in the level and you look in the details, that's what gives you the ability to be able to do this, to select it, okay? Okay. And then this right here, this is just switch on _, and the name of your enumerator, right? So whatever you named it, that's what gives you that. And then you plug that into that. And then depending on what this is set to will determine which one of these pins fire, which then means, once again, when you select it in your level and you have that set to explosive, that means that whenever a character overlaps that, it's going to fire the explosive pin, which then executes this logic, right? Okay. So now, with all that said, now I'm going to show you guys how I would do a shield. Okay. So obviously you would open up your enumerator. In this project, it's this one, and we would add a new one and we would call it shield. Okay. And then save it. Now, since we did that and we already have that enumerator implemented in this pickup, now when we come back in here, guess what? We now have a new pin, which then means in the details panel, we can now change that to be of the type shield. See? Which then means you can also use a completely different particle system, meaning you could find a particle system that's made to look like a shield. You could put in completely different sound effects. Okay, so if you pick up a shield pickup, you would do this. You would play this sound. You would respawn at this rate. But one thing is that you're going to notice that there's nothing in here to do with a shield, right? Like it tells you how much to give, and it tells you the respawn timer, and you can change it to a shield sound effect, and you can make it play a different particle, you know, on your character. Okay. So this is why I said that I wouldn't be building this on live stream. How do you want the fucker to work? What do you want it to do? Do you want it to change the material on your character to make it look like you're glowing? Right? Do you want it to play a sound effect while you're shielded? Wong, 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 right? Do you want it to outline your character? Do you want to make it look like that your character is ricocheting bullets? Right? Do you want it to spawn a bubble around your character? I mean, there's about 180 million different ways that you could do this. Okay? So I have no idea how you want it to work. That's for you guys to answer for yourself. But just for shits and giggles, right? We'll kind of dick around with this for a minute. Okay, so obviously now that we've got the ability to have a shield, well, that means we're going to need an event called server on shield pickup. So down here, what we would do is duplicate this, right? Duplicate that event, and we would call this what the hell did we call the rest of these? Server on shield pickup, right? So we would call this server on shield pickup. Okay? And then we can compile that and save it. And then you go from here, right? What does it need to do in order to happen? And then at the end of that, right, you can see that some of these are common, right? See this? Do once, and it calls multicast pickup FX. Well, that's common between all these pickups. Well, shield might not be common. You might need it to do something completely different. But what's really cool about the way I have this set up in this project is, look what it passes through whenever you run over the pick. Oh, and by the way, this needs to be set to run on the server. I forgot that part. It's got a reference to the character that overlapped. So, just a bullshit mechanic, but let's just pretend for a moment that we're actually contemplating making a shield. Well, how would you do that? Well, do you want it to block the damage entirely? Like while you're shielded? Do you want it to reduce the amount of damage that you receive by an amount? Like half damage while you have it? Do you want the shield mechanic to run for a duration? Right? Like after you pick the shield pickup up, it runs for 20 seconds and then it deactivates? Or do you want it to give you a different health meter? When you pick the shield pickup up, do you want it to put up a new health bar that says shield amount? And every time you take damage, it gradually pulls the damage amount in that bar down till it reaches 0. And then when it reaches 0, then you allow it to start removing your actual health, right? So it depends on how you want it to work. But in this case, right, we could go in here into the character blueprint and we could do something as simple as this. We could create a variable called is shielded, right? And of course I spelt that all wrong and nobody gives a shit because everybody knows I can't spell anyway. And, does it need to be replicated? Yeah, probably, right? So I would set that to be replicated. And then what you could do is from the pickup, you could cast to your master character, which is in here somewhere. And then you have access to that variable called is shielded. Get it. Or no, it would be set it, right? So you would say shielded, set is shielded. To true. See that? And now whenever you run over that pickup, what will happen is, let's just put this on event tick just so I can demonstrate this. You wouldn't put this on event tick, by the way. Don't ever do this. Plenty of ways to do it without doing that. And you would, we're just going to modify this, right? So we're going to say get it, and we're going to do a print string, something like this. And I'm just going to have that display, are we shielded or not? Oh, come on, for hell's sake. Okay. And now what should happen is it should be saying false. Oh shit, we're going to have to make a pickup, right? So let me change this to shield. I'm just going to leave the particle effects and shit on it because I don't have anything else in here to change it. So as you can see right now, I'm not shielded. Okay. However, if I run over it, which it ain't that one, it ain't that one. Which the hell one did I just change to be a shield? Fuck me, which one did I change? Oh, it's the bullet. Okay, it's this bullet. Let me move that up here out of the way. Theoretically, that should do it, right? So if I run over it. Oh, wait a minute. There's some logic in here that has to be finished hooked up. I didn't hook this shit up yet. Hold on. Who built this project again? What are we doing? Who am I? Oh yeah, blueprints. The pickup. Yeah, we kind of gotta hook that up, right? So server is shit. Shielded server on shielded. Damn, I spelt that wrong as shit, but that's okay, right? Never mind typo. Server on shield pickup, right? And then of course we got to hook this up. We need that character, right? So we can pull out of this right here and plug this up. Now the sumbitch ought to work, right? So let's try that now. How about now? So we're not shielded, right? And then we pick the pickup up. Oh, look at that. Now we're shielded. See? So that's how it would work. Now, what else do you want it to do, right? How long does it stay shielded? Do you need to start a timer in your character? Do you need to change the material on your character? Right? Do you want it to, I don't know, right? I mean, that's why it's hard to do specific questions. When people ask me specific questions, it's not because I don't want to cover it. It's because it's not as useful. Because the way I would make a shield mechanic may not be the way that you would make a shield mechanic, which may not be the way that they would make a shield mechanic. So just the general gist of how it would work is far better to learn. Okay? And so there you have it. Right? Now, does it need to do any checks before you allow it to shield? Right? In other words, do you want to check? Let's see here. Why is it? Oh, we don't have to cast? Are you shitting me? Oh, it's because we already, never mind. We don't have to cast here. It's because it's already casted up there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm already casting to the character up here. So what's getting passed through is already got the cast in it, which means you don't have to recast down here. But anyway, you might want to check something is shielded. And you might put something like a branch here and say, okay, wait a minute. If the character is already shielded, we don't shield him again, right? So only if he's not already shielded do we shield him. See? Million different ways. If you've already picked up a shield pickup, you can't re-shield, right? So first check to see if you're shielded. You know, you might want to create something in here like a set timer by event. And you might say, create a custom event here. You might do something like this, and you might say server set shield count, maybe server set shield timer, and that would be run on the server, something like this. And that would go here, and you might have that loop for every second. And then you might want to store that in a value and say that, okay, when we get shielded, actually this would actually go here. This would be like this, right? And then you would create another one, custom event, and it would be something like this. Tick shield count down. Boy, I'm really typing awesome, right? So, and then you would have to do this, right? You would have to start a timer, and in order to do that, right, you would do this. And you know, now that we're doing that, we probably don't even need to do that. We could do it in here. Okay, now you would set that, instead of setting it in here, you check it. Are you shielded? No. Okay, well then we'll go ahead and do this. So then you would do it here, right? Instead, you would set that true here. And then the moment that you set it true, you start you a timer of some sort, every 1 second looping, and then after a duration, you would promote this to a variable, and you would call it shield timer handle. Something like that. After that duration is reached, you would then take that shield timer handle thingamajig, and you would say clear and invalidate timer by handle. So you would turn it off. So once again, I'm not going to go through the entire setup of this. And then from here, now all you would have to do, instead of what we was doing, would be call server. Let's see. Oh, wow. It would be helpful if I spelt that shit right. Right. So it would be this. It would be server start shield timer, which is then going to hop into the character, and it's going to fire this, which is going to set that true, start you a timer. And I'm not going over how to set up a timer. After that timer, whatever value that is, reaches 0, you stop the timer, and then you would set is shielded back to false, right? After that timer is over. And then it becomes a question of, okay, after you get all this working, what does the shield do? Right? So if you want it to prevent damage, right? Well, obviously right here in this little project, this is where we're doing damage at. You would do a check here for is shielded. And if that's true, you don't do any damage. And if it's false, you allow the damage to come through, right? And then whenever that timer expires over here and it sets that back to false again, well, then you could then receive damage again. Now, if you wanted to do it as a percentage, right, you would have to math, bro. And math is hard, right? So right here, you would say, okay, well, if this is true, instead of doing that, you would take whatever the amount of damage is that comes in, and you would divide right, float by 2, right? And you could cut it in half and then use that as the damage value instead of the original amount, or however you want to do that. Math is hard, right? So there you go. That's the other question that I was asked about setting up shield mechanics. There's far more to it than just, oh, well, here, you click this, you click this, you click this, and then there you go. Voila. How do you want it to work? Unreal Engine is your canvas. You can literally make this damn engine do anything and everything that you want it to do. The question is, do you know how to make that happen? And I'm not being a smart ass by saying that. It takes years of experience and experimentation and dabbling around and dicking around, right? So there you go. And then if you want it to change, just expanding just a little bit, right? Maybe you want it to, after you do that, you set that true, and you know, then maybe this is where you would do your timer, right? You would check some value. And actually, there's a way to set up a timer. Well, actually, I don't know if this project has that in it or not. My other projects do, like Simple Capture the Flag. There is a timer in there. You could look at that and say, okay, so basically I could create a timer by this, right? And you could do that. Okay. But anyway, what I was getting at is you could also do some material changing, right? Like you could get the mesh of the character, and you could say set, how the hell do you do this? I'm not a material guy, by the way. Set material. Yeah. And you could change the materials out. Put a glow material on it. Or whatever. Right? What do you want it to do? Okay. All right, I think I've talked about that enough. So let me bring Chad over here. I know I've been neglecting you guys. Let's see here. Holy crap, you guys have been chatty. Let's see. Read all that. Read that. UE5, the most advanced engine. Never mind that they still do those redirector stuff every time you want to rename some folder. Yeah, awesome. Neat. Ripper Junkie. Okay, so you do that for optimization. Yes, that's the reason. Thanks for telling me that. I'll send you a tip. Oh, you don't have to do that, but I appreciate tips, right? That's how this YouTube page works. Tips. There's a link to my PayPal account in the description of every video on my YouTube page and in the banner of my YouTube page. That gives me motivation, right? When I get a tip, oh, wow, look at that. Somebody just sent me $20. Holy shit, let me make a 5-hour video. And then, you know, that's how that works. You don't have to, but it motivates me more, and I sure do appreciate it. Just sent you a tip. Not sure if I did it right, though. I'll check it after a while. Let's see. I know you don't do dedicated server stuff, but have you ever tried doing it? I don't think you would have a big issue. Of course, you might just not be willing to do it, but still think it'd be interesting. It's not really that I'm anti-dedicated server. And it's not, well, let me just say this. I've never done it. Could I do it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could set up a dedicated server. The biggest reason that I don't have it and have no interest in doing it is because, I mean, maybe if I was doing my own game, like legit my own game, maybe I would do it. But for templates and stuff, dedicated servers are not free, and you're not going to run a dedicated server on your home computer. Right? Not how that works. You have to purchase one. You know, you have to buy one, rent one, lease one, whatever it is that you have to do from Amazon Cloud Services or whatever. So that's the main reason. Okay. I don't want to have to spend money to experiment with a dedicated server. You know, whatever the amount of money it may be per month. I'm not doing that. Okay. Okay. So that's the main reason. I'm not investing my personal money in it. That's the reason. Let's see. Hello, all in all games. I didn't see you sneak in here. Ripper Junkie, what's he working on? Just answering questions, teaching and giving suggestions. I'm in the process of migrating my entire project over to Unity because I want to make a browser-based game. Well, that's cool. I'm not one of these guys that's going to say, oh my God, you're going to use Unity? What kind of a traitor are you? Unity sucks, man. Don't use Unity. Right? I'm not one of these brand loyalists. Let's just say it that way. Whatever you want to use. If you want to wear Levi's, wear Levi's, right? If you want to wear Nikes, wear Nikes. If you want to drive a Ford, drive a Ford. Oh my God, you drive a Ford? What are you, fucking retarded? Oh my God. Right? I'm not one of these asshats. I don't give a shit. You do you, right? That's how I tell everybody. Some people find that strange. I don't know why, but some people do. They're like, you mean you don't root for the Tennessee Vols? I don't even fucking watch sports. I don't even give a shit, right? Some people just get wrapped up in a bunch of bullshit that don't matter. I'm like, it don't matter. Who cares? You do what makes you happy. As long as what you do that makes you happy don't cause me problems, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Now, if you like, let me tell you this. If you live next door to me and you like to have your dog come out and get in my yard and tear my garbage up and shit all over my yard, just because you like to allow your dog to do that, we're going to have a problem. Okay? You keep your fucking dog in your fucking yard and I'll keep my fucking dog in my fucking yard. Right? But anyway, whatever. Let's not get wrapped up into that bullshit. Did you finish your ability system? I had an ability system complete in the game that I was building, the Tribes clone that I was building. I had it complete. But that project is long gone. So the ability system that I was prototyping, or basically it wasn't even prototyping. Someone had asked me if I could do a video on how I would go about setting up that modular ability system in Blueprints without using the one that everybody tells you to use that's built into the engine that you have to know C++. So that was really just a demonstration video. As far as what I'm going to build, if I'm going to build a new template or whatever for the UE5 marketplace or 4 marketplace, I still haven't ironed out all the details as to whether or not I'm going to invest the amount of time that would be required in order to do it. But I have thought about it, right? Like I mentioned it in another live stream, which you may not have saw, that I was contemplating building a new template. Something that's not like anything that I currently sell. That would be redundant. But I was contemplating making a new template that would be something similar to, it would have a single player version. There would be multiplayer, listen server only. But in that multiplayer, you could pick between capture the flag, capture and hold, player versus player, team versus team, and then you would also have co-op mode, right? So I was going to try to build that in, and then that would have to have something different than it just being a shooter. So it would have to have some, more mechanics than just shooting guns. So I was thinking about putting an ability system, a modular ability system into that template if I built it, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna. So that was what that was about. Let's see here. somewhat it doesn't work correctly with gravity. I don't know what I don't know what that's in reference to. That must be something that I missed. I'm a Dungaree, Reebok, and Dodge man. I have a Dodge too. You know what the best thing about my Dodge is? It's paid for and has been since 2002. Right? I own a 2002 Dodge Durango that was paid for in cash. Right? And it's been paid for since 2002, since it was new. Right? I don't go into debt ever. My house is paid for, right? That's how I'm able to live. Well, how would I say that? That's how I'm able to live. I live a very minimalistic life. I don't have house payments, big flashy house payments, big flashy car payments, big flashy credit card debt, right? I have zero debt. Zero. And I intend to fucking keep it that way, right? Let's see. That was in reference to my ability system. I thought he was asking me. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Holy shit. No wonder I'm confused. Misguided Games was asking All in All Games about his ability system. Hold on, wait a minute. That does not compute, right? Okay, so now we're all on the same board. Misguided Games and All in All Games, all I saw was the games at the end. That's not the same person. Them are two different people. Y'all are really confusing the shit out of me today. Are you drunk, Galt? No, I ain't drunk. I don't drink. Haven't for a very long time. All right, let me go in here and delete that project. So for the fellow who asked about those questions, I think it was the same guy that asked both those questions. I'm not sure. Don't remember. But either way, I answered them both. So if you watch this video and you get to this part right here, even if you're not here, hey, you should buy me a coffee. I answered your questions. In depth, by the way. All right, so let's go ahead now and we'll get back to some forum surfing here, and I'll wrap this up here in a little bit. Unless you guys got any more questions that are quick to answer. I've already answered all the in-depth crap that I want to answer today. But if you guys have got any quick questions, we might answer those. I think we've read most of these. Probably. All right. Let's back up here and let's go into just Blueprint. We'll read through a couple of these here, see if anything interesting pops out. There's that damn dude still doing the Blueprint Ninja Challenge. I wish I'd get that ninja. You know, the first time that I read that, I thought it was Beverly Hills Ninja Challenge. You guys ever seen that movie? Beverly Hills Ninja? Chris Farley? That was funny. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. That guy was funny. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He was funny. Load sound by name string impossible. Add movement input speed problem. Scroll box auto scroll. Jesus. Have we already been through these? These seem familiar too. Selecting the game window, custom sequences. Why is some of the NPC controlled by a deter crowd AI controlled failed to move? How to use landscape import height map. calculate distance with forward vector. I want to have this trigger box countdown timer within a widget blueprint. Hey, his is resolved. Wall surfing like on source, but in UE4.5. Hit component is firing too many times, so I added a do once and now it only works once. Did you reset it? I mean, that's an obvious dumbass question, but yeah, did you reset it? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, imagine that. Yeah, it's only going to do it once until you fucking reset it, man. I tried that the entire chain and wrapping it back, and the reset didn't work either. Sorry for bumping this after 2 fucking years. Are you shitting me? 2 fucking years you've been waiting for an answer? Holy shit, you ain't never getting that game built, son. I don't know if that's the same guy or not, but that's funny. When I said there ain't much traffic on this forum, see? 2 years. It's been 84 years. Insert that meme of that old woman in the Titanic movie. It's been 84 years since I figured this out. Oh, I'm in a funny mood today. What method is used to draw the mesh box at runtime? How do I spawn an actor and snap its location to a grid in the middle of a drag and drop operation widget? How to run Unreal Blueprint nodes on begin play that depend on another blueprint in UE427. Countdown timer works. Find in listen server, but not working at client side. Imagine that. It's a replication problem. I guarantee it. Server sets timer. Right? On rep notify, update widget. Right? Probably. And why are you not in the multiplayer section? Are you trying to cheat? Right? Are you coming into the regular blueprints questions section asking multiplayer questions? That's illegal. You can't do that. You've got an entire multiplayer section now. Go to your area. I'm just kidding, by the way. I don't give a shit where they ask them at. Can't set anything to assets that I've created. Why doesn't the collision diminish when the collision radius decreases? Use an AI controller to move a chaos vehicle. Error after changing BP parent class. Memory leak on compiling character BP. How to change the spring arm rotation. Let's see. Right click menu, toolbar menu, disappear and smooth mouses. Someone have the touch blueprint shown, blah, blah, blah. Victory plugin. UE5 AI not using walk animation behavior tree. Anyone else? Widget animation and blueprint actor problem. Adding a call to a parent function. I think we talked about that before. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's bounce out of this. And we will go. Oh my God, character animation. Metahumans. Split animation. Using property access to get child actor component offset for animation blueprint fabric. Face, wear, and Unreal. Fighting game. How to make fighters walk backward when facing another player. Somebody's trying to build some sort of a Mortal Kombat game or something. Probably. Not sure. Let's see. Can't launch meta-human creator character slides when playing an animation montage. We did that, right? What? We did that in some video. What the hell was that? Maybe it's where I talked about how I replicate montages. You have to cut the character in half, right? Because all these montages, the bottom half of the character don't move. So when you split it in half, you get the upper body to play the montage and you get the lower body to keep playing the regular animation. Let's see. Procedural win function. Anim notify always plays on server. Here's somebody that's going to have a very hard time. See the conversation we had at the beginning of this stream about why I don't use anim notifies. Here's somebody who's always going to have a problem. Anim notify always plays on server. Always. But it never works on the client. I don't understand. If the game said that anim notifies are the best thing since sliced bread, I don't know why I can't fucking get this to work. They suck ass. That's why. That's why. Don't use them. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Well, I really give that, and you know, there's some things that I try not to talk in absolutes. I really do, but there are some things that it just baffles me that they do in game design. Not specifically people on the forum, but just sometimes some of the things that Epic does, it just baffles me. I'm like, why in the hell would you want to spend all that extra time and clicking to get from here to here? Why not just go from here to here instead of going from here to 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 here to, and then you end up where you wanted to go? I don't fucking get it. I don't understand. But that's just because I'm a redneck dumbass and I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't get it. Really don't. Let's see. FPS character problems. Additive versus blend. Where is the control space transform function in control rig? Cannot find metahuman plugin, metahumans this, metahumans that, meta. Have you guys ever done this? Check this out. And then I'll probably end the stream here. What does meta mean in Hebrew? Have you guys ever done that? Here we go. Have a look at this. Does Mark Zuckerberg know what meta means in Hebrew? You guys want to read this? There you go, right there. So you guys want to go join the metaverse? Right? Is that what y'all guys want to do? The dead verse? I just thought that was funny. Thought you guys might get a kick out of that. Yeah, meta means dead. Whatever. Reach out, pick up, and hold item animation. Metahumans, dead humans. I'm just going to start saying dead every time I see that word meta. Dead human for commercial use. Dead creator. Dead human creator doesn't connect. Dead human and custom clothing. Dead human creator does not load. Y'all guys see how funny that is? That's funny. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. I think we're done here. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me on a fine, fantastical Friday. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thanks for any and all contributions and or donations that were sent during today's live stream. And we will see you guys in about 2 weeks. This is John Galt, and we will speak later. Have a good one, fellows. And fellettes. There are some fellettes around here occasionally. Y'all have a good weekend.